So I just got done watching Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 2, Episode 2, and I have a confession to make. Myself and RU Bravo Bro from Instagram sent Heather gay the text messages that Jen Shah wrote about her, where she basically calls her ugly in like 10 different ways. Not to be cruel to Heather, but to let her know that Jen wasn't a true friend. And if you want to know the whole story, it is on the Patreon, and it's been on the Patreon since I think, I want to say 6 months ago. Okay? So you guys, if you're really curious about the whole story and you want to see the text messages itself, you can go on the Patreon and see it all and where it all began and what happened, the whole story. Don't deny yourself the truth about Jen Shah. What I can tell you is that Jen Shah did say awful things about Heather behind her back before the show even started airing episode 1. So that you need to know. And Heather really was a close friend of Jen, so it makes it all the more hurtful in real life, not just show life, that she would write all these horrible things. Actually, not because of anything that happened on the show, really, just so that Jen Shah could attack and do what she's doing with all the cast members, which is to pick fights so that she can make the show interesting for everybody, which is fine. Everybody needs a villain. Jen has definitely accepted that she is the villain of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and she wants to be because it's cementing her position on the show, and that works. Now, Heather is a sweet, genuine, authentic person. I can tell you that. Jen Shah is a manipulator, possibly a master manipulator. And unfortunately, I don't believe that she does anything but gaslight people with her aggressive personality. And, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. I really wanted to try to be more fair to Jen Shah over time. I kept looking for something that I could hang my hat on, that I could say, okay, she's not as bad as I think she is. She's, got these endearing attributes. The only thing I've seen is her son. That's really the only endearing thing I have been able to find about Jen. Now, there are people I know who know Jen, and they say, hey, so I have friends that say Jen's got a big heart, that she, sends them merchandise and calls them all the time, and, Shazam and Shasha and Shawshank Redemption, and I don't know what else Shaw, but anyway, you get the drift. But the point is, I have trouble believing even them, because I feel like I can't trust anything that she does, because it seems to always come from an agenda. Plus, those friends are Bravo influencers, which means they can help Jen. So here we are again. If you guys don't know, I'm not trying to make this an ad for the Patreon, but if you don't know the particulars about Jen Shah, who she is and all this stuff, you really should go into the Patreon for this season of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, because you're going to really understand what's going on way better than you're getting it off the show right now. Okay, so let's move on. I just want to say Heather needs to be so careful. She has this incredible ability to just forgive and forget everything. And as a result of that, she's going to be totally steamrolled over by Jen. And Jen is going to keep abusing her and playing on her low self-esteem, probably established from her disruptive marriage, her dysfunctional marriage with her husband, and also leaving her Mormon church, which I know was a big deal for Heather. So I just really, if I was on the show, I would have done exactly what I did not being on the show, which is, have Heather's back, tell her the truth, make sure she knows who's her friend and who isn't. Because she doesn't need friends that are bad to her or, enemies. you guys know that Jen Shah was arrested for taking over 100 elderly people's money as the mastermind behind a whole scheme, right? That what they would do is they would try to sell old people businesses, and they would then upsell them products to like promote their business that they sold them. And so the old people would take out loans to be able to pay for the services and to start the business that they'd be sold. And then the business would never really work. And if they wanted a refund or if they couldn't do it, they wouldn't be able to get their money back. But that was kind of the intention, to look for vulnerable people that wouldn't be able to, you know, they would, if they couldn't make the business work, they wouldn't be able to get the money back. And they were vulnerable people that shouldn't be starting a business. Like, they weren't even technical. You know that guy Stewart in the show that's pretending to be Jen's assistant? That's actually the guy that was in the indictment arrested with Jen Shah. And he's supposed to be like the second in command under her in this whole scheme to defraud elderly in business, like in these pretend businesses that, you know, were doomed from the start, I guess you could say. So we're going to see Stewart probably only make a few more appearances before he drops off the the edge of the world, because of course he got arrested the same day Jen did. I wasn't sure if you guys were clear that that is the same gentleman in the indictment that's in episode 2 as her assistant. The Marlowe guy isn't her assistant either, by the way. He actually ended up going back to his country that he's from, but he was just like a person who was hanging around Jen doing different roles, and she was never paid by Jen. So let's continue now. Now we have Mary. Mary is like absolutely the head of a cult-like organization, which looks like a gospel church, but isn't really, because she tortures the people in the congregation. It's well documented by several family members related to Mary Cosby publicly. And Mary Cosby has spent all of the congregation's donations for a new church towards her lavish lifestyle. So this is just a matter of time on that one. I've just got my watch out looking for the time to pass on when that's going to blow up. She hasn't been in a functioning relationship with Reverend Robert, for her husband, for years. And now some new dirt came out about Robert that I can't even get over. I can't talk about that on YouTube, unfortunately. It's a little too level 10, okay? But it will be on the Patreon, and it is going to come out in the next week on the Patreon, so you guys could go check that out. But yeah, things are not good in that household either. Now, what else we got going on? We've got Meredith sticking up for her kid against Jen Shah, which I totally agree with, because I don't think you should, you know, like funny posts about people unless you don't like them. I mean, you know, certainly if I don't like someone and someone posts a derogatory funny comment that's mean, I'm going to retweet it or like it. But if I like the person, I'm not going to do that. So I think that at this point in time, Jen Shah doesn't like Meredith, but the fact that she's going for her kid shows that Jen is pretty weak. It means she can't come for Meredith herself. So Meredith, you know, has had a successful business for years. I actually at first questioned that, because she does come off like she's trying to sell something every 10 minutes. Her husband is, by the way, from merchandising background, which would explain why they're selling the world. But Meredith has been successful, really, truly. And so I don't feel that Jen has any way to attack Meredith. Her only hope was the marriage being broken apart, which, you know, I question whether that was real in the first place. But, you know, she doesn't have a lot to work with Meredith. So I do believe Jen legitimately doesn't like Meredith, but she doesn't know how to come for her. So she's attacking Brooke. But that's so chicken, you know what? I can't swear on here, but you get the drift. It's chicken beep of her, okay? So let's move on. I want to talk about Lisa. Lisa's storyline is pretty weak at the moment. I'm not really getting it. She's obviously the cast member that brought the whole cast together, and so she's kind of becoming the Kyle from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills person on Salt Lake. So whenever the producers need to like get something to be accomplished, you know, she's going to be the one that inserts herself to get that done. But I'm missing her problems. Like, you know, what is your story? Like, who are you? I mean, are you getting along with your husband? Why are you, you know, how's the business going? The tequila business? How's your luxury business going? Anything happening with that? I mean, you know, we already know, I mean, I've broken down her whole business and her SEC filings on the Patreon, and we know everything about it. So you might as well go on the show and talk about it. So I'm excited about Jenny. I'm loving Jenny, you know, her persona. But Jenny is following the exact same plot line as season 1 Bling Empire, Christine Chu plotline. So I kind of feel like the producers literally casted towards what Bling Empire did in season 1. You know, and Christine's a friend of mine, so I I feel like that is really lame that Bravo didn't, like, they're choosing to follow the Bling Empire storyline. I don't know. It's like, think of your own storyline. You know, don't be stealing Netflix. Anyway, Christine was probably rolling her eyes when she saw that episode, if she did. She's doing Dancing with the Stars now, so she probably is too busy to care, but... So Whitney is, I guess, not having enough sex per week. 3 times is not enough with her husband. I think that was made up. I believe that she had a chat with her husband and said, I'm going to say that we're having sex problems due to my business so that I can talk about my business and also still make you look like a stud, because most couples that have been married for many years with 2 kids are not upset when they have sex only 3 times a week. So that was completely, to me, organized. And I really hope, I like that, you know, Whitney is trying to be cheeky and play into the fans, and she's definitely got the game now. But I'd really like to see some real aspects of Whitney. I also don't believe that her company, Iris and Beau, are selling 15,000 units. Although she didn't say for what time period, but I don't believe that she sold 15,000 units of anything. I'm just saying. I just don't. That's a lot. I don't know. 15,000? It's a lot. It's a lot of skincare. Anyway, Whitney. I want to like Whitney. I guess I want to like Whitney because I know she's teamed up with Heather. So, like, I kind of want to like Whitney for that reason. I guess that's it. Okay, that's the truth. Anyway, hopefully next week there'll be more plot points, because this is kind of like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go, guys. Let's go.